I work full-time as a doctor in Australia, but I also have a Nintendo Switch blog, made this YouTube channel, composed and improvised music, studied for my general practice exams, do some coding, and sometimes people find it a bit weird that I do all these things. In this video, I want to talk about some of the mindset behind it as well as how you can do it too, because I don't feel it's that complicated, but it just requires a bit of change in thinking. So let me share 9 secrets with you on this tiny channel that no one knows about. So the first thing is multiply yourself. Often in a business or even in other parts of your life, the greatest limiting factor is yourself, which is your time and your energy basically. You may not have a limit to your ideas, but it's the time and energy bit which is really hard. So for example, I have Pedro who edits his videos, Alex who runs Switchboo, and I have Matt who also runs my e-commerce store. Without all these people, the amount of effort required to do these things would have just been impossible. By having these people there, it actually also becomes a bit of an accountability thing. You know, if I don't make videos for Pedro, then he has no videos to edit. One last note, don't do this if you care more about money than time. Obviously not everyone is in the financial position to do this. I happen to be quite fortunate that I have a full-time job as a doctor to be able to funnel it into all these creative ventures. But it is something that I think people often do a bit too late. They often spend a lot of time when they really could be delegating it to someone else. And hiring is pretty easy. In the end, I think that those expenses will actually be well justified. Number 2, the happiness density paradigm. I think that procrastinating is something that you have to do in order to get some rest. The problem is that we often spend our procrastination time doing stuff that we don't really like. Going on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you feel like mildly satisfied, but if I looked at the happiness density of something like watching anime, or the happiness density of something like creating these YouTube videos, comparably speaking, I could spend the same time doing stuff I like and procrastinating still, but it would be a much better use of that time. One of the biggest illusions with these things is that you are learning different things from it, and so sometimes you might justify, oh look, I actually get a lot of information from Facebook. But the density of learning tends to be quite low. So for example, if you spent 100% of your time watching a YouTube video trying to get better at coding or music or whatever, then that's 100% time spent on learning the actual thing. When it comes to like learning from Facebook, like 90% of it is just entertainment and stuff to keep you back on the platform, and maybe 10% of it is the useful stuff. So if you're going to use your spare time for anything, then try to use it wisely and increase the quality of that time since you're going to use it anyway. One of the best things that I ever did was actually delete the different apps from my phone, Facebook, Instagram, and I still have to log into Safari to go onto them, but this has been really helpful for actually concentrating my time. So the third thing is that the act of doing itself is learning. Let's take YouTube as an example. You can study YouTube all you want. You can craft ideas, you can get your studio set up, but in the end, if you're not actually recording videos, then you're going to learn a lot less than someone that is. Sometimes people think that they need the best equipment, they need the best camera, they need the best microphone, they need the best setup. Even if it's not YouTube, you need the best of whatever it is in order to get started. Don't be stopped by false prerequisites, but if there is something that you need, then go get it quickly and get it out of the way so that you can actually do the thing that you're hoping to do. So number 4 is live permissionlessly. We're very fortunate now that in this world we have access to the internet. You have the ability to learn anything from, for example, YouTube, from other people on Reddit, for example. It's something that is actually extremely valuable. You don't have to do a university degree to know a lot of things. For something like medicine, fair enough. For a lot of other things like graphic design or like digital marketing is a really good one. You really don't need a digital marketing course in order to do digital marketing. You just need to be very curious, learn some specific method of acquiring traffic. Don't attend a university or some sort of theoretical lectures about it that isn't from people within the field. There is one caveat, of course, which is that sometimes one of the problems with trying to figure out stuff from the internet is that you don't have this structure necessarily, and so you just have to sort of create your own structure and fill in things. I think that the best way to actually create a structure for yourself is to actually have a project that you want to work on. That way, the actual curriculum, so to speak, is directed by what you think would be helpful for your project. You grab your curriculum based on your needs, and that will make it so much more meaningful and so much more useful to you. And the meaning is the bit that really makes things stick. One of the things that is really helpful, I find, is that if you actually use the mental models that you have in your head already and apply that to new contexts, you find really, really interesting things there. Understanding music allows you to understand psychology. Understanding coding allows you to understand people. If you have ever played with a water hose, you understand how high blood pressure works. By having the mental models that you already know about, you can learn things just by applying them to things you already know. So, the sixth point, you want to learn from the internet effectively. And there's a lot of ways to do this. I think that if you go on YouTube, for example, and you just type in whatever you're trying to do, you know whether something is legit or not by whether it's actually solved your problem or not. This can be a bit difficult. For example, when it comes to digital marketing, there's a lot of people that make more money from teaching digital marketing than actually doing the digital marketing itself. The way that you mitigate against that is that you actually have a look at the free stuff that they put out first. And if that free stuff is actually useful to your life, then they're a pretty legit person. When I was learning Facebook advertising stuff, I listened a lot to a guy called Andrew Foxwell, and it's a super good podcast and super duper useful. And the tips inside the podcast are so specific that you really have to be someone in the industry to be able to say stuff like the stuff he said. Therefore, I decided, okay, like I trust him, and sure enough, like his courses were like even more amazing. Sometimes you just need to pay for information, and for me, if it's educational, then I don't mind paying for it. That's just how I think about things. I think this is a habit from when I was a kid, and my parents didn't mind how much we paid for books and stuff. They were just happy to buy any book that I wanted.
And before you call me spoiled, this buy anything mindset was specific just to books.
Extra important point to emphasize here is that you shouldn't just learn things in isolation without actually implementing them. The thing is that those things don't actually stick. You end up spending like a few hours learning them, but because you haven't used them, it doesn't stick in your mind because it doesn't translate into anything meaningful. Make sure you wrap it in some sort of project so it can be like, oh, like, you know, I can use this thing to do this thing. So the seventh point is use good software. When learning heaps, you want to store this information in a really meaningful way. I've talked heaps about Notion and how you can make a Zettelkasten, for example. Whatever it is, assume that the thing that you just learned, you're not going to remember it like 3 or 4 years down from the track unless you actually write it down. So you don't have to write down the full tutorial or transcribe the entire thing. Making a small note just to remind yourself, oh, what is the meaning of this thing and how does it actually work? In your own words, that'll be really helpful to you. Especially when studying for GP exams, I had this like ridiculous amount of stuff to learn, but recording notes where you have really brief sentences to help remind yourself of what you learned, that'll be really helpful to your future self. So the eighth point, chase curiosity and cut losses. When I get too bored of something, I tend to just cut it out from my life. The life is meant to be enjoyed, not endured. There's this really important concept of sunk cost fallacy. It's where people have invested so much time into something that they think they have to keep doing it. It's a really dangerous mindset to be in because you might find that you're living in years for something that you don't like. If you're going to live for probably another 60 or 70 years, you don't want to be spending it doing something where you only put like 2 or even 5 years of investment, you know? You want to make your day-to-day life better. Life isn't always about big dramatic overhauls. Just change it like little by little. One day you'll find yourself exactly where you want to be. You move faster to a place if you care about the destination. The ninth point is to find friends. Whatever you plan to do, there's probably a community for it. If you go on Reddit, for example, you can find people that probably love the thing you do. There's probably a Discord somewhere out there, there's probably a Slack channel out there. Whatever it is, if you want to make it part of your day-to-day life, then part of that consistent effort is about identity. Publishing YouTube videos for me is kind of a reason why I get to talk to other people who are also making YouTube videos. They're really cool, and having other people there to sort of bounce ideas off of makes the whole journey a lot more exciting. If I sort of felt that this activity was a bit more solo, then I think that that can be a bit isolating. So the 10th point, I know I said 9, but the 10th point is just do it! Do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Here at the Davide channel, we gotta not just be educational, but we want to be inspirational so that you can have a sensational life and you feel elational. Like, yeah, these rewards. Alright, that's it. If you want to see me again, feel free to subscribe. Bye bye.